What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Musway1 and today I'm coming at you with another Kingdom Hearts theory about Luxu. So Kingdom Hearts 3, during the epilogue, we got one of the most, if not the most, iconic reveal in this series to date, with Xigbar actually being the Master's apprentice, Luxu. Now, Xigbar was always kind of a mystery, but now with him being Luxu, it adds a layer of complexity that most of us actually never expected. And of course, if we go back through the series, we can see all the little things that he did or said that alluded to him not being who we thought he was. But in hindsight, I think a lot of us can say that we never actually saw it coming. But when it comes to some of the things that he said and what his role is in terms of the future of the series, we could see Luxu turn out to be an even more interesting character than he is right now. And what do I mean by that? Well, let's find out. And if you want to see more Kingdom Hearts theories and discussions, make sure you subscribe to the channel, support your boy, and turn notifications on. Also, if you want to talk with myself or other Kingdom Hearts fans, make sure you join the Guardians of Twilight Discord. Link will be down below in the description. So I know we really don't know a lot about Luxu so far. At this point, the only things we really know about him as Luxu and not Xigbar are the things that we've seen in the Union Cross updates, the original Kingdom Hearts key, and of course back cover. And honestly, that's really not much to go off of. But just going off of what we have, part of me wonders if there's going to be something more that happens with Luxu in the future. Part of me wonders if he's even actually loyal to the Master of Masters, or if he actually has his own plan that he wants to carry out. Because I was looking through different scenes of Xigbar's to sort of see if there were any clues that led me to thinking this way, and I actually ended up at the secret ending of Recoded of all games. And that scene where Xigbar is talking with young Xehanort about having, his hands full with his own plans actually kind of stood out to me. Because in that scene, a lot of people think that Xigbar is talking about being Luxu, and they're probably right, because that scene has a little close-up of his eye, meaning, oh yeah, he's probably a Keyblade wielder with the whole gazing eye thing. But right now, Kingdom Hearts is kind of going into the realm of sort of turning everything on its head and subverting the audience's expectations. And we know this from a couple scenes in Kingdom Hearts 3. We see it in scenes like when Xehanort is defeated and we find out that his heart is actually in the right place, but he resorted to dark methods. And why I want to talk about that is because since his introduction, Xehanort has been the sort of big bad that Sora and the gang had to take down, but at the last second we see that he's a bad guy, but he's not actually a bad guy. The game basically slipped the rug from underneath us at the last second, and I feel that that could happen with Luxu, because that line about Xigbar having his own plans could actually have a double meaning. What if Luxu actually does have his own plans and plans on using the Master of Masters to carry out his mission and achieve his own goals? Because from back cover to Kingdom Hearts 3, Luxu has lived through countless lives and countless vessels. He was there in the Keyblade War and saw everything that went down to, of course, record the future with the gazing eye. All that to say, he's not the Luxu that we know from Union Cross and back cover. He's grown and he's seen a lot, and he's no longer the kid that we know of from back cover who had no idea what the Master was talking about. He knows good and well what's going on, and he could use that knowledge to possibly betray the Master of Masters in the future. And the idea of a foreteller or apprentice betraying the Master of Masters and going forward with their own plans isn't exactly out of the realm of possibility, because we already know of one person who isn't going to stand by and let the Master of Masters do whatever he wants. And that person is, you guessed it, Master Ava. It's interesting to think about because the only people who know about the Master's plans are Luxu and Ava, or at least we can assume so based on what Luxu told her back in Kingdom Hearts Key. And that actually creates an interesting dichotomy between the two, because in back cover, Ava was so willing to follow the Master's instructions. She didn't want to create an alliance with Aset and Gula, and she didn't want to summon Kingdom Hearts because she knew it was forbidden by the Master. But what is it that Luxu told her that made her want to throw that away entirely and go down her own path? Since we already know that Ava plans on interrupting the Master's plans, I think we'll see Luxu do the same thing in his own way and for his own reasons. I also think we'll see a second conflict between the two and see whose ideals come out on top, and honestly, I think that'd be really cool. And don't forget, Luxu is the only one who knows the contents of the black box as well. I talked about it a little bit in my video about the foretellers, but I think whatever is in the black box is the key to the Master of Masters' true plan. And with Luxu being the only one who knows the contents of it, he's the only one who would know how to use whatever's in there against the Master of Masters. Luxu is the only one that's really close to the Master of Masters, and he's the closest to know what's going on and what his true plan is. And with having lifetimes upon lifetimes to figure out what he wants and how to get it done, the only one who has a shot of toppling the Master's plan is his right-hand man. So now that we've talked about what Luxu could do, we need to talk about the big question. Why would Luxu want to do all of this? Well, let's break that down for a bit. To start us off, we gotta talk about some of the antagonistic forces we've seen in the series thus far. The main antagonist, Xehanort, for example. He was a man who saw the world as imperfect, so he wanted to start it over and begin anew. But to do so, he utilized the power of darkness to do it. He had good intentions, but resorted to the wrong methods to do it, as we said earlier. Now, let's take a look at Master Ericus. He believes in the power of light to completely drown out the power of darkness entirely. However, he was so afraid of the darkness taking over that he was even ready to kill Ventus to prevent the Keyblade from being formed and Xehanort carrying out his plans. And then we've had Xemnas, who was in between light and darkness, who just wanted to belong on one side or the other. So throughout the series, we've had people that ended up being more complex than just, oh, I'm darkness so I'm evil, or I'm light so I'm good. They've all been sort of intertwined, and it shows that darkness doesn't necessarily equal bad and light doesn't necessarily equal good. We've had very interesting takes on that sort of classic light and darkness spectrum throughout the series. But I think one thing that's missing, and it's actually something that's kind of obvious, I think we need an antagonist who sides with darkness just with purely evil intentions. And what I mean by that, since I know we've had people like Ansem, Terranord, and Vanitas who also rely on the darkness, is I mean we need a Master Xehanort or Master of Masters type villain, one who's pulling the strings and not having his strings being pulled. Someone who works with darkness and has no shame and no good intentions whatsoever would actually create an interesting opposite and equal to a character we know of that seemingly has next to no darkness in his heart and does everything for the good of everyone around him. I think he'd be a good opposite and equal to Sora. I think that a true clash of ideals between light and darkness, and not misguided light using darkness versus light, would be an interesting clash, and I think Luxu could be the one to give us that fight in the future of the series. But that's what I think Luxu's role would be if he were to betray the Master of Masters. Because right now, the Master's Master seems like a neutral. He doesn't really subscribe to one side of the spectrum or the other. We know that he wants to destroy the darkness, or at least has a plan to, but we don't really know why he would want to do that. But I think if the Master remains a true neutral, we could see Luxu become the first purely evil for the sake of being evil villain in the Kingdom Hearts series. Because we know that in the days of Union Cross that he wants darkness to disappear and the light to eventually win. However, from Kingdom Hearts Key onward, something seemed different about Luxu in the way that he talked. And when Ava talked about how Luxu was twisting the words of the Master to suit his own needs, it made me wonder that what if she was actually right? Now, I don't know what would happen to Luxu to make him think like this. We'll likely see or at least hear about what he did in the next couple of games, but something would have had to happen to make him start brewing up his own plans for the future. And what are those plans? Well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. So those are just my thoughts on what we could see from Luxu for the series, but I want to know what you guys think. Let me know down below in the comments what you guys think is going to end up happening with Luxu or in the Discord server. And also make sure to leave a like to show you enjoy the content and share the video with a friend to help the channel grow. Also, maybe consider subscribing to help support the channel. My name is Moosewayne1, and I will talk to you guys next time. Peace out.